twos.
The terrible twos. How do you
We're toddlers now.
How do you both feel about having been here for nearly 2 years?
Time seems to have flown.
It's been good, all right?
Yeah, it's been good times though.
It hasn't seemed very long at all.
No.
Be told. Tom, what do you think?
That's 2 years of my life not getting back.
Good. Well,
It's been fine.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to coming down again in 2 weeks because it's half term and retrieving my duck. It's going to be good.
I've kept him safe.
You've been kept very safe.
safe.
Thank you very much.
I don't know.
I can't see him because I've had to close the stream to try and deal with the call quality, but
We'll sort it out. So big shout out to everyone who's just joined us on chat. Retisanti, Mick Wendell. Oh, I need to WhatsApp you, Mick Wendell. I just forgot to do that the other day. Brad Glover, Brian Sprillo, we're here. And the Iron Hands FAQ, yes. So today we're going to be talking about lots of stuff. We had prepped some information about the Iron Hands and their place in competitive gaming. I'm sure you guys are already aware of that. But now we get to talk about the FAQ that's just literally come out moments ago. And then we are going to be talking about some of we've all got a rundown to do. Nick's got Scarab, Occult, Terminators.
Scarab.
And I've done Wulfen. Do I think that they're a competitive choice in the current gaming scene? No. And that's backed up by 40kstats.com. Do I think they're super cool models and that's all I want to talk about? Yes. So that's why I've decided to do a rundown on them. And if you don't like it, fuck off. Yeah? Sorry. That's not what I mean.
please don't fuck off. Please don't.
Like it,
No,
just,
that's what I
just
mean.
hit the dislike.
Yeah, if you don't
But
like
also
it,
fuck off.
if you don't like it, fuck off. And you're doing. Why have you decided to go Scarab, Occult, Terminators?
Because Terminators are badass.
That's
and
true.
They've got a really cool name.
Tactical Dreadnought armor.
Yeah.
And they are after one of the coolest, kind of bugs. I think Scarab's arguably one of the coolest bugs. Tom, can you think of a
Pretty
cooler
scary.
bug? What?
Pretty scary.
The dung beetle, which is also Egyptian.
Is it?
They could have been dung beetle occult Terminators.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have.
We could have already dung them.
They could have done. They could have done. They could have done that for Nurgle. Maybe that could be the Nurgle version of the Terminators.
They could. They could. But then you're just gathering all the disease and decay into one place. You don't want that. You want to spread it.
Yeah. 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 Much like STDs in Nottingham. Just want to just pass them all around.
True.
Yeah. Mick Wendell, hello.
Got to catch them all.
He says Zinchak Termies are the best. So you've got a fan there. Right, so hot goss today. Hot goss. But before we get into the hot goss, I need to ask you both. Tom, how are you? How have you been? And what's been going on for you and 40k?
I'm all right, thanks. I'm all right. I haven't really been doing too much 40k. What I've mainly been doing is I've been writing a list. I've been going absolutely mental in the 40k Stat Show Discord, which is not available to any of you. But what I was essentially doing was I was just spamming.
That's just some straight gatekeeping on the beginning of the show. A show that puts everything out for free. You just gatekeep the whole community. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's kind of like just the guys who get all the kind of interviews and stuff together. So I was going absolutely nuts with lists that I thought could deal with Iron Hands. And now I don't need to. So that's some more time of mine I've wasted.
But think about how many cool lists you've written.
One, it was orcs.
Interesting.
This was the problem. I wrote up a new orc list that I thought could really do some work. Because Steve Pamperin came out and said, "Oh well, Iron Hands ruin orcs," and I was like, "I feel like orcs are one of the better matchups into Iron Hands." So I wrote up an orc list and I did the maths for how likely you are to kill things, and it turns out I was right. So victory for me.
Well, that's nice. Congratulations.
Did you say maths?
Yeah, thank you.
bitch?
Thank you.
Yeah,
maths.
did you say maths, bitch?
No, I didn't speak to him.
Vote for you saying maths, bitch at the end of every list that you now write.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll just drop a calculator on the floor.
Yeah. Please do.
Dropped my. Yeah.
Do we still use calculators? Is everyone not just got a calculator on their phone? A calculator is now
Well, that is a calculator. So you just drop your phone on the floor, I guess.
Yeah.
But then you drop your camera on the phone and no one wants that.
Yeah.
That's just a different calculator. Nick, we need to find out how you're doing, but most importantly, have you completed Hogs of War?
I have completed Hogs of War.
Perfect.
Perfectly.
Good job.
All the medals, every mission. I had 5 commandos by the end of it, so it's pretty big, right?
I literally have no idea what that means.
No, heroes. Sorry, not commandos.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I'm all right. I had a busy weekend at Warhammer last weekend. I was at the AOS doubles with Gozzy. Shout out Gozzy.
Big shout out, Gozzy.
And then
Is he one of the guys from James Workshop?
no, he's from Wednesday Night Warhammer. So,
Okay. You've got all these little clubs. Look at you being popular.
Yeah.
Just play a lot of Warhammer. You need a lot of people to play Warhammer with.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's
That's
how
what
it
you
gets
need.
so good.
Yeah, and then Saturday night we had a practice day at James Workshop for the 40k team event that we're going to this weekend.
This weekend at Warhammer World.
At Warhammer World.
Am I right in thinking that that particular event allows you to... So you guys were taking some Iron Hands.
We were taking more than some Iron Hands. We were taking 3 Iron Hands lists out of a possible 4.
Okay, perfect. So very much like the
Filthy
entire...
bastard.
Just like the whole 40k meta.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole 40k community.
Yeah.
And then... with that said, and the FAQ coming out today, has there been any feedback as to whether or not the older Iron Hands, as it now is known, is viable and okay?
Well, the list submission deadline was after when the Iron Hands FAQ was supposed to come out.
Right.
So the Iron Hands FAQ was late, I think. So we submitted our lists with the old Iron Hands in mind, and then 2 days before the event starts, they released the Iron Hands FAQ, and it affects the lists we have. Not massively, but enough to make it like we would have made totally different choices. But luckily, we've been in touch with one of the event organisers, and they've said they're going to send an email out later clarifying what their position is. But basically, he said, I think and I hope he's going to make the sensible decision of saying, obviously, everyone sent their lists in based on the previous knowledge of what the rules were, and they should be able to play those lists with that in mind, rather than the goalposts being changed right at the last minute. Because, example, one of our lists has 2 Leviathan Dreadnoughts and then 2 Mortis Dreadnoughts. And the Mortis Dreadnoughts will be given the character keyword, so they can't be seen. Yeah. If you can't, because now they've FAQ'd that you can only do that once per game. We had that knowledge. We had an alternate list in mind where we have 2 Contemptor Dreadnoughts instead of the Mortis, because they've got a 5+ invulnerable save. So that's just an example of an effect it's had on our lists, and we would have done things differently with this knowledge in mind. So so hopefully they make the right call and just allow everyone to just, for this event, because it was so soon, so close, close to the event. It's a bit unfair and everyone to have to deal with the effects of it, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Sorry to everyone about the internet being a bit choppy, because we've got Tom on the Skype call as well. It's probably just stretching our bandwidth. One day when we get the big studio, we're gonna have the 2 internet cables.
Yeah,
I think so. It would have been unfair, really, with you so close to the event to change it.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think, as we're going to talk about, because I think that's the hot button issue to discuss now, obviously Iron Hands, the fact that the Iron Hands book if you've been involved in competitive 40k at all, it's been the only story for the past 3 or 4 days, right? It's been the big news. I'd like to see what you two think about it. I'd just like to just holler at 2 particular groups that I've been in love with a little bit this week: 40k Stats Center, but also the Goonhammer article, goonhammer.com. Just go on that. The articles that they post there are just fabulous. I've had an amazing day just reading those and taking that information in.
I played against Sorry, I was just going to say I played against one of the main guys from Hammer. He was he was a good player. So
yeah,
we know what we're talking about.
Shit.
Yeah, they do. Or you just have to read the article to understand that realistically. They super know what they're about, and the article was great, especially about an Iron Hands, which was made invalid really by the FAQ that came out that same day, a few hours later. But that article was just great, absolutely, and full of information. And we don't really need to re-go over some of that, but Tom, you took the lead on this. You know some of the information about where they are in the Iron Hands are in the company.
Yeah, so I've got some of the details. So I've specifically got pieces of information from this weekend. And what I'm looking at here is I am looking at the results from the weekend, but also the win percentages. So if you look at the results from the weekend, you had quite a few major events going on. So I'm just trying to scroll up because for some reason my FPS is messing with me. I think that might just be the Skype. 1 second. So what on earth is going on with Chrome? Sorry, I'm just trying to.
It's probably the Chinese. Just a quick point to always say free Hong Kong.
First event we had on here was. No, that's fine. Yeah. Careful. Blizzard might come and get you. So, first one we had was Into the Hellstorm 4, run by Mikey and the guys, and that was won by Iron Hands. An Iron Hands successor came fourth, but in the final round, it was Iron Hands versus Iron Hands to see who would win the event. You then had Chaos in second and Space Wars and AdMech in third. In the Michigan GT, you had Thomas Ogden. He won with Iron Hands, and then Iron Hands also came fourth. They were also comboed with Raven Guard there. And then you had Guard and White Scars in second, and then Orcs in third. Battle for Salvation, first place was Iron Hands. Second place was Iron Hands. Third place was Raven Guard, and fourth place was Eldar, Sean Naden. The Crucible, you had John Lennon, infamous internet shitposter. He came first with White Scars and Iron Hands. Second was White Scars. Third was Chaos, and fourth was Iron Hands. MidCon was first Iron Hands, third Iron Hands, with Orcs taking up the other two places in the top four. Fantasia, I'm just waiting to scroll down again because, again, nice ramp. We had Iron Hands in first, third, and fourth, with Ultramarines in second place. Then in the Iron Monkey GT, you had Iron Hands in first, Raven Guard second, Knights and Blood Angels third, and then AdMech Assassins and Knights in fourth. Siege of Destruction, Iron Hands were both second and third place there as well. Harbor Heresy, you had Iron Hands in both first and second. So basically, all of the events here, you've got Iron Hands very prominently finishing in the top four. I think most of those events have at least 2, potentially 3 Iron Hand players in each of their top fours. Yeah. And then if you go and look specifically at the sub-faction results, you can look at the win percentages for each of the Marine factions on 40kstats.com. So if you look at the Iron Hands list, there are 44 of them, and that leads to a total win percentage of 72.77% over 44 different players.
Yeah, so interesting. I've got some other follow-up stats if you're interested.
Yeah, go for it.
So if you take out the mirror matches, and again, this is thanks to 40kstats.com. If you take out the mirror matches, they're actually at 78 to 80% win rate. Wow. Yeah, 80%.
Yeah.
So and if some of you at home like don't know what the Goldilocks chain is for an army, like shit to not shit. Like if a game was really good, like if a game was super balanced and like there was a really like dedicated, hardworking team, it would be somewhere between 45 to 55%. Like that would be like the bottom end. You would have armies that were floating around 45%. Top end would be 55, and then because it's Games Workshop, we probably could be a little bit nicer and say somewhere between 40 and 60%. Like it's quite a big mathematical difference. Doesn't sound like a lot, but 20%. So to have something to give you a comparison in Age of Sigmar, we had an army that ran 75% Daughters of Cain, which is just flat busted. And interestingly, anyway, so Tom, you've got more to say, but 80% is phenomenally busted.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 points on that one. I also forgot to include the Isle of Man, the GT that went on the Isle of Man. That was won by Iron Hands, and Iron Hands came second. And the only list that the Iron Hands player that came second lost to was the Iron Hands player that won. So, but there's a real life example there. Secondly, when you release something new, there is kind of a little bit of latency with it, because what you end up doing is people either take a while to understand how to use it, which clearly isn't a problem with Iron Hands because it's super fucking easy. Or you have people take a while to understand how to counter it. So you see this a good example of this when a new champion gets released in League of Legends, because what players either tend to do is they either tend to smash with it because no one knows how to deal with it, or they tend to lose a lot with it because no one knows how to play it. And then you see those win rates stabilize quite quickly. But I don't think I've ever seen a win rate quite as hefty as 80%.
Well, so again, to do some quotation marks, like there is no army that's ever had this impact, like this win rate. The most interesting factor was the worst performing Iron Hands. Like they came in like there wasn't an Iron Hands player that came below 35%. Like
what was the worst result for Iron Hands?
Well, that's what I'm trying. Like whatever the like, basically.
Wow.
They don't. Whoever the worst.
So you
Iron
go
Hands
2 and
player
3.
was.
Imagine being that guy.
Yeah, imagine being that guy, but like to give you some sort of indication of everyone who played, all of the people, like no one, like they all came above the top in the top 2/3. Like no matter who you were, no matter what list, and it's really important to point out that all the lists were different.
I was going to say, it seems like it's not like like there's one build, Gulliman, with loads of tanks around it. There seems to be a variety of different builds that are all performing really, really well.
Yeah, so really interestingly, because you hear about like the repulsor list sometimes, but again, if you go on the Goonhammer review that they did of it, which is just amazing, and I don't want to read like verbatim from there, so I'm just going to do it off the top of my head. But not every list had a repulsor in, and some had none in. The most popular unit that you had was a Thunderfire cannon.
They are really, really good.
They are really, really good, and they just get better and better.
Right choice.
There was sometimes there were repulsors, sometimes there weren't. Sometimes there was Furios, sometimes there wasn't. Yeah, sometimes there was someone doing psychic powers. Oftentimes there wasn't. There were people. There was the iron, the relic, the iron stone. But sometimes there wasn't. Right, like so, it was a variety of different things. So the kind of TLDR of the Goonhammer article, which I think is really important, is they compared it to Ynnari in that what you've got is a really solid army already in Space Marines, and then you're just giving them loads of delicious extras on top that make them even better. And so you can't really nerf any of the elements of it, although when we get to the FAQ, the individual components, because even then, their analysis was it wasn't that was the issue, it was their chapter tactic that was the issue.
Well, the chapter tactic or the doctrine?
The doctrine, sorry. The doctrine that was the issue. But there's a really interesting thing that it put in here. So I'm stealing this quote. So for the same price that every other Marine player pays, the Iron Hands player is getting units that are 40% more lethal because +1 to hit, with rerolls, 20% harder to kill, and 100% more effective in Overwatch. So if you paint your guys yellow, or you paint your guys black, and then 40% more lethal, 20% harder to kill, and 100% more effective in Overwatch. That's just amazing, and that's just on their base. Yeah. That's not with
That's not with any strats or items.
No, like the Overwatch one obviously comes from the fact it's a strat, right?
Well, they get 5 or 6 Overwatch anyway, so they might just be referring to that.
Yeah. Well, that's 100% more effective.
Yeah.
Well, here's an interesting thing, though. You were talking about painting them yellow. I'm looking at the Imperial Fist stats. Now, we obviously have a much smaller sample size here. There were only 4 lists last weekend that were Imperial Fists, but they still managed to knock up a 72.5% win rate, which was only a 0.27% win rate underneath the Iron Hands. Yeah.
Interesting.
And you had White Scars down at 63.03 as well. So there's a lot of... the book itself is strong.
Yeah. It's a really interesting article that I read. But, and then the FAQs come out. Yeah? So let's talk about the FAQ, and then I have... Because I don't think we need to labour the beast anymore. I think other people have done it quite well, which I think is interesting. And now the beast is also dead, so it doesn't matter. So let's talk about the FAQ.
Is it dead, though? Is the beast dead?
Well, that's the question. Is the beast dead? Because I'm not 100% certain. Tom, what do you think?
No, it's not. I mean, I think some of the builds are gone. It'll be interesting to see how the Flyers continue to do, personally, because it just means that you can't consistently build those castles, because what's going to happen with Flyers anyway is you spend 1 turn getting shot at and you're perfectly fine, and then you go out and you kind of just kill everything because you're Flyers with all these like bonuses to damage things. So it'll be interesting to see where those things stand, especially after people kind of get to grips with it and we see more orc lists that are actually built well popping up in specifically. People are still very much enamored with the idea that you just charge at things with orcs in North America in particular, whereas here we're more kind of based around shooting and smasher guns and that kind of thing.
So you
then you're going to have the Eldar dropping as well. I've taken looters out of my list, actually, replaced them with tank busters. So I was running looters, but I'm just not doing it anymore because they just tend to bounce off of repulsors a little bit more, and the tank busters do a similar job into Eldar flyers anyway, so you can just like shop and change those 2 units between the 2. And then when Eldar get released, then that's going to be interesting, because if you're suddenly hitting 2 top tier armies that just ruin your day, then you go down from an S tier list to an A tier, really.
So I just want to quote Alan Drull in the chat. He says, a couple of things to keep in mind. Several of the lists were Iron Hand successors, which is true. Using custom chapter tactics, and those lists can't take the Iron Stone and their free relic on the roster, but use a strat pre-game to get it. So I think that's a good point that should be made as well. So Tom, can you read out the FAQ for us and tell us what's changed? Because
yeah, sure. So if I pull up the FAQ here, I might see if I can stick it in the chat later. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't actually get wrecked by internet on my end, at least. So the first thing that happens is so infantry models. Okay, so the first FAQ is Rites of Tempering. Change visibility to read. Infantry models in friendly Iron Hands units have a 5+ vulnerable save, whilst the unit is within 6 inches of this model. So I think that was what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago.
I think that's
so now only infantry can get the invulnerable save.
Yeah, I think that's Ironfather Ferius.
Yeah, that's
invulnerable bubble.
That sounds about right.
So
yeah, and now it only applies to infantry.
That is huge. That is huge.
Yeah, it's big.
Like everything having a 5+ invuln, one thing having a 5+ invuln, big difference.
Well, it's just infantry, right?
Oh no, infantry.
Well, no, this thing is only infantry. It's not. Yeah.
Stock in Derridea.
So the second thing after that one is the one that I think. Well, Derrideas are good anyway, so I've got no problem with that. The second thing I think is the one that's going to be getting the most attention. I'm not necessarily sure if it's deserved though, and it's the Ironstone FAQ. So you change your relic to read at the start of each battle round. You select one Iron Hands vehicle unit within 3 inches of the bearer, and until the start of the next battle round, when resolving an attack made against that vehicle unit, if the bearer of this relic is within 3 inches of the relic unit of the vehicle unit, you can reduce any damage suffered by 1 to a minimum of 1. So you pick the unit at the start of the battle round. It has to be quite close to the relic bearer, and then the relic bearer has to hug it for the rest of the battle round for the buff to continue. So it's one of those things where it's more effective anyway if you're going second, because you're already stood within 3 inches of it anyway. Whereas if you're going first, you kind of have to follow it around. It also is massive, but now you just don't give out -1 damage to like 6 planes. So you're already getting huge value there. And the fact that you can only give it to 1 if you have 6 planes, then now you can just pick the other 5 units and just shoot them instead.
Yeah,
right?
well, you've lost a lot of
So
value.
it's a massive change to the Ironstone.
You've lost a lot of value. I could see Iron Hands players like doing things like taking.
You've lost pretty much all the value.
Yeah,
actually.
but you can still work it. So and again, Ironstone wasn't in every list. You could put it on a super heavy, for example, like a Lord of War, and then you've got a bigger wound pool, which is good, obviously with the healing. And then that 5+ invuln plus the 6+ DPR is worth more, which I think is really interesting because, again, just quoting that article, if you heal 6 wounds with a DPR save of 6+, you're actually healing 7.2 wounds. Like, it's just super, super good article. Like, just read it, man. Like, I just sat there like, this is quality. Please continue, Tom.
So the one I think actually is I should get more attention is the page 60 March of the Ancients change, and this one is a change that means you can only use a stratagem once per battle. Now this stratagem, just for context, is a stratagem that allows you to make your dreadnoughts characters. So what you could do is you could take the Ironstone and you could take the you could take a Leviathan Dreadnought and you stick the Leviathan Dreadnought at the front and say, right, I am going to drop half damage on my Leviathan and the Ironstone on it every turn. You're going to have good luck killing it because I'm going to make all these dreadnoughts behind it characters. So you just push your Ironstone forward. It's kind of like a siege tower. I mean, everything behind it is just safe from any shooting because you're all characters. So that was kind of one of the lists I heard being talked about. But now you can only make one dreadnought a character. It essentially just shuts it down.
Mm.
Yeah. I kind of expected that when we were anticipating the FAQ, but then. Yeah, it makes sense because like not being able to target a dreadnought, like the only thing that can target it is like snipers, and generally snipers are built for killing like infantry characters, not necessarily big beefy dreadnoughts. So
that was
or just applying mortal wounds to things, but when applying mortal wounds to dreadnoughts doesn't matter too much.
No, not really.
That was the March of the Ancients ruling. So those are the kind of the biggest ones. There are a couple of changes to some stratagems. So the stratagems Souls of Iron and Optimal Repulsion Doctrines are now 2 CP. I think Optimal Repulsion Doctrines might be the half damage one because it sounds like it repulses things. But
that's the Overwatch on a 4, 5, or 6.
Which is an amazing strat. Amazing.
When we were going through the strats last week, we were like... loads of these strats are like really good
So
for
now
one
it's
CP.
200% more effective on Overwatch.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Yeah,
stratagem.
it's insane.
Yeah.
Then you've got page 61, Machine Empathy. Change the last sentence of a stratagem to read that model can use that ability again. What's the context on that one? What did that one do?
Machine Empathy allowed you to.
Anyone remember?
Yeah, I think it allowed you to heal again.
Healing twice,
Yeah, healing twice. That model can use that ability again.
All right. Okay.
But Nick's just
So
going to
that
check the
model
wording
can
on it
use
now.
that ability again. So that's just
So Soul of Iron is
and then
the
page
deny stratagem.
That's fine. We can keep going while we're doing that. All right. Okay. That's fine. So page 62 is Reforge. Change the second sentence to read: if manifest, select one friendly Iron Hands vehicle model within 3 inches and of and visible to that psycho. You cannot select and you cannot select a model that has already regained lost wounds that turn. So it just limits the amount you can heal a vehicle as well with psychic powers.
The Machine Empathy one, you previously could heal the same model twice, but they've basically removed that. So a Tech Marine can fix 2 vehicles, not one twice.
Yeah. Before it was you can use it again and use it on something already repaired. So now you have to do it on the same source both times, which obviously with the bonuses to do so maybe means people will run more than one like Tech Marine. But we'll see. But a positive
with
change
Thunderfire
as well.
cannons.
With Thunderfire cannons, of course.
Yeah, exactly. With Tech Marines with Thunderfire cannons, dude. Just give them all the relics. It's great.
Well, that's the point.
Then you've got the FAQs.
Oh yeah, the worst one though is the Iron Father Furious Sigma Moray, which is basically he can just give a vehicle 2+. So it's not it's just amazing. Just again, super heavy. It seems now they've really set it up so a super heavy can be hit on 2+, could be doing Overwatch on 4, 5, 6s, can be healed twice, can have a 5-up invulnerable save, and can reduce damage incoming by 1. So, but that's good because the way it was worded before, or the way they had it set up before, was just crazy, which is why we've already had that. We've seen that huge spike as a win rate. So all said, number one, first thing to say is congratulate Games Workshop on an incredibly timely response.
Really good. Yeah, well done.
Nick?
That was definitely. I think it's an appropriate nerf as well. I don't think it's too over the top.
Bye, Sinise.
I think the fact that we're still discussing. Oh, sorry. Hello.
Well, I wouldn't say it's.
That's a lot of.
Well, they gave themselves a 2-week deadline for FAQs, and this is like a month later, right?
Yes, but instead of just doing an FAQ, they have redesigned.
I mean, I'd rather they did it properly. To be honest.
Yeah, but my issue is that if they just keep doing that, I guess no one should buy anything until they sort that shit out. Then, so they release a codex. No one should buy anything for a month before they sort the rules out.
Well, so can we? Do you mind if we break this down? Because I think one of the most interesting questions I heard. Again, big shout out to the 40k Stats Show, and also had stats on this time. So big fan, Peter.
Wow,
love you. Yeah,
had stats on the Stats Show.
Had stats on the Stats Show.
My God.
The thing that I'd like to say, which is what Val brought up, but I don't think they clarified it. So I'd like to, if I'm allowed to, take the torch on that one. Is that they said, why is it bad that they have an 80% win rate? And I thought as a group we might be able to have this conversation because it's a really interesting question, right?
I know. It's just funny to hear it actually vocalized.
Yeah, why is it bad that an army is so good? And then let's just detail the points as a group. Try to be as unemotive as possible and just have that conversation because a lot of what gets talked about in a lot of the different groups, this army's too good. For instance, I saved it. Oh no, I downloaded it on my computer. That's a real shame. I found a very, very funny post from some other content creator because in the Chapter Tactics show they were talking about it for ITC. They were talking about banning the Marine book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what they were literally talking about, banning it. Yeah, in ITC, and then the post I saw, someone was like, "Suck a giant dick." That was what this guy was saying. He was like, "I had to deal with double spear Yanari for 8 months. Yeah, fuck you, fuck your life. Yeah, and now it's our time to shine." And obviously, there's a gross imbalance there.
You can't have 40k without Marines. That's bullshit.
Well, okay. Well,
Or without double speed, Yanari.
Well, yeah. But, or without a Castellan, which is just a brand new model.
We're bringing them back.
Yeah, or like Blood Angel Smash Captains, which no one cared about. So the real thing that I wanted to ask was, like, first off, why is it bad that an army is disproportionately more powerful than other armies? We've seen it happen time and time again, and there are instances of many. Yanari, Yanari, for instance, but even Craftworld Order and Drakari, for a good long while. There was the Castellan build, and we saw the Guilliman car park. So there are like 3-4 examples now, obviously, with the Iron Hands. So what is it about an army being so dominant? Now I know the answers seem super obvious straight off the bat, but I want to list them and I want to talk about them.
Well, I was just thinking of two groups of people I'm thinking of when you were saying that. One group is like the grassroots of 40k, those young kids who are just getting into it. And if one of them has Iron Hands and the other one has, let's say Necrons, for example, the Necron player getting smashed by his Iron Hands buddy all the time probably will not want to continue playing and will go and find a different hobby. So there's less people continuing in the hobby. And another example I'm thinking is...
but also if we take that to a wider environment as well, so if we can give that like a title or a heading, effectively, what you're talking about is hobbyists. Because another example would be, you just really like the narrative of Iron Hands, for instance, yeah? And that's what you like, or you like the paint scheme, whatever it might be, so you decide to pick up that. You don't really go on... Like, you don't listen to competitive shows. That's not your life. You just see it, you paint it, and you go down to the local games workshop. And then someone points a finger and shouts at you. Whether it be your friend who you play all the time, or whether it be, like, the people you just randomly meet. Yeah, so you're talking about the uninformed, yeah, who are people who are just like, why is this stronger than your thing? Because there's a duty of care from Games Workshop. They sell you two things. Like, my buddy's got this, I've got this. You're like, cool. You should be all right. You know, you could just use power level, boys. And bash them up against each other. Just bump your uglies.
Bring your super chicken, it'd be great.
Yeah, so it should be... Hermanista, thanks for subscribing, by the way. 5 months, should probably keep track more often. Yeah, appreciate that. So yeah, you're talking about the uninformed, right? And their place in our gaming world. Because we want them... As much as we're all competitive gamers and stay more informed, we do want those sweethearts who just buy stuff because they are sweethearts and want to buy stuff, right? Yeah. So that's a really good reason as to why. The ecology is, I think another heading could be that it's less interesting.
Yeah, the second example that popped into my head is if, say, I'm trying to get someone else into the game, I say, you're sick of computer games, why don't you come and play some tabletop games? And they go, no, tell me a little bit about it. And I tell them a bit about the tournament scene. And they go, and they might independently go onto the internet and look at the tournament scene and go, oh, well, every few months a new army comes out and it's just the best and smashes everyone else. Why would I want to invest money in a tournament scene that basically is the new stuff that you pay for is always the best and that's how you win?
So, yeah, so I think there's like two ways to approach that. Like, planned obsolescence is what they call it in the... So one of the things that we constantly keep talking about, I just want to say big shout out to Dude Our Day in the chat, who's just donated 100 bits, salty bits, for Necron Nikos getting owned by a Space Marine playing buddy.
Still not get over the scars.
And we're still
how many
going
years
after
go by?
The vaults.
Yeah, of course. We're going after the fund. Balance matters most to casual players, says Pokey John in the chat, and the chat, and I agree loads, because those are the guys that put the least work into working out whether or not their stuff is good or bad.
Yeah, someone could have an identity crisis, right? They're playing Iron Hands, they're like, fucking hell, I'm so fucking good at this game, I'm smashing all my mates, and then they pick up another army, and then they're shit with it, and they're like,
and then they get really...
I don't know who I am anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So so what you're talking about is the economy in two different ways, right? I think that's different to interest. Like the economy is obviously, there's a whole bunch of people who might have seen the Iron Hands results at the weekend and decided they might have wanted to buy it because they want to do well at tournaments.
Yeah.
The same way that you see Castellans built, painted pretty badly, stuck on a tabletop, and the same way they must have just always been sold out of Blood Angels captains. I don't think they sell Blood Angels captains specifically, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So all said, there's a financial treadmill to jump on. It's whether or not we actually think Games Workshop intends for there to be a financial treadmill. Or whether or not they're just quite poor at it.
Sometimes it's hard to decide, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because as an example, because it would be a really poor marketing strategy, because obviously people say, oh, well, they've sold loads of Castellans. And I'm like, well, they do have loads of other models to sell. Like, just because a Castellan is good, as an example, no one's bought a Valiant. Yeah. Like, that's the Harpoon variant, isn't it? I think so.
Apart from Adam Sinclair, that's about it.
Yeah, right. So that's one. So like they make as much markup on each model as they do on every other model or box of models. So like it makes no sense to make one thing really, really good. And then you would say, well, rotate things in really quick, but there just isn't the process for that. The Castellans were good for 9 months. Ynnari were good for quite a long time, in my opinion. And the key elements of them that are good are still pretty good. Like, they probably don't ever need to sell any more Wave Serpents. Ever. Or Crimson Hunters.
I disagree. No, mate, I've got some Element Games are shipping free Crimson Hunters to my house right now.
Okay, all right, well, good.
I need to sell more, buddy. Always need to sell more. Yeah, great.
I just do. And I'm not happy about that, but we'll talk about it later. So there's the grind economy. And do you think that puts, so that's the kind of heading for that one. Do you think that is that really touching on the theme of, does it matter if one army is really strong? Isn't there a preference there? Like, if every month a book comes out and it's stronger than the one that was before, which I don't think is always true, by the way. # Space Wolves. Because they were not stronger when they came out.
No, I don't think it. I think if I'm thinking about it from Games Workshop's perspective, it would probably be better for them if all of the models that they sold were as good as each other. So if Iron Hands came out and they were the flavour of the month and everyone's buying them, if everything else was also good and could take on Iron Hands, then that'd be more likely for the tournament players to buy other stuff to beat Iron Hands rather than. But I don't know. I guess if everyone's just jumping, I don't know.
I really like, having been in the marketing meetings.
If everyone's the OP, no one is.
Yeah, having been in the marketing meetings, I'm sorry, they just don't have that like, and they also don't have that acumen of skill. Like, think how much bad vibe they must have created over the past, but we're moving off from the subject. Anyway. What about interactive, creativity? So if I went to a tournament, for example, and I knew that, because the guys again on the stat show were saying that they reckon in a few months that Space Marines will be 40% of the field, of the meta, with I imagine 20% then being Eldari. Is that an interesting game? If new people, or even like me, I'm like, because
we're playing Horus Heresy at that point, aren't we?
Yeah, we are basically. I get super fucked off that there are units in my codex that suck. Yeah. I see a unit and I'm like, I like that unit. That unit looks cool. And then I look at it and I math hammer it out, or I even try it on the tabletop and I go, actually, it's really, really bad. Yeah. A good example would be my Astra Militarum Storm Lord. So that's a super heavy for the Astra Militarum, which the Solar Auxilia you could buy. It's got 7 las cannons and 2 battle cannons, and it's terribly overcosted, and it's really bad. It has no invulnerable save; it just dies. Yeah, it's £150 of model that is bad. So ignoring that already the models I like aren't good, which is a terrible design methodology. Everything should be playable, right? Because that's the difference, right? I'm in a shop, I'm looking at something, and I think I'd like to buy something, right? And I see this great tank, and then I do a quick Google, and I'm like, is this good? And then all the shows say this sucks dick, and you're like, fine, I won't buy it. They've already lost money in that economy when it's only Space Marines and Eldar, and you think, well, I don't like Space Marines. They are representative of a like neo-Nazi fascist regime that at best are like police state murderers. At best, at worst, genocidal maniacs, hell-bent on destruction, and should have all been murdered, just like the Eldar told the Alpha Legion that they should be done, right? Like, so, do you not want a more, like, Orcs are cool, Necrons are cool, like, have a more interesting environment. Go on, Tom.
So I mean, you were talking about what the shows say when you're Googling stuff. I want to say something none of the other shows would have said. Before this FAQ dropped, I was saying I think Iron Hands are going to be consistent 3-2, 4-1 mid-table smashers, and they won't win events in 2 months. And the reason I thought that is because I think there's enough things that you can build that can deal with it, that it would push them away from consistently winning events. Because if you know that you have to, so remember when like Knights were like really strong, and you knew you'd have to play Knights. No, but enough can that they'll push it off. I'm not saying that it's good design. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that if you are looking to win an event, you have a tick list of things, right? So okay, what do I need to be in order to win the event? So at the minute, I need to be Eldar Planes, and I need to be Iron Hands. Well, what can do that? Well, I'm playing Orcs. I can now build an Orc army that can beat both of those things. Then you have the Eldar release that's coming. Okay, well now I can build an Eldar list that can deal both with a mirror matchup with Planes, and that can beat Iron Hands as well. So now you've got 2 lists that are going to be knocking around the top tables that you cannot hit if you want to win the event with Iron Hands. And that's going to push you down a couple of rungs, which means that I think you'd also see the popularity of Iron Hands drop off a little bit. Not massively, because they are still Space Marines. They are still a very popular faction, and they would have still been the strongest way to run Marines. With this change, I'm not entirely sure where we're going to see them. I still need some time to mull it over because it's literally 2 hours long. I mean, we can still see Eldar's players change, but at the minute, that's just what I'm talking about. That's what you need to have a tick list of in order to beat. And Eldar, even if you remove the flyers out of the equation, I still think Eldar will have enough to be able to build a list for top tier.
So the point of what Nick just said, and the point which you've actually framed really well, is that sounds super boring, right?
Yeah.
Like,
well,
No, like that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, because the question was asked, why is it bad that there's one dominant factor? As army, for instance, if it's, let's just say Iron Hands stayed as they were, and they were just absolutely smashing everyone, and they maintained their 70 to 80% win rate, everyone would eventually, if they wanted to go to a tournament, they go, well, actually, you almost statistically can't beat them, because that's a crazy number, yeah, right? Even if you've got the counter list, or if it just became 2 lists. Let's just pick, let's just say it was an Orc list and an Iron Hands list, and you were one or the other. And the Orc list sometimes beat the Iron Hands sometimes beat the Orcs, but then they were the only 2 that could ever compete because they were so much stronger than everyone else. That's just, I wouldn't play that game. Like,
that's chess.
That's chess.
It's black and white
with
team.
much cooler looking models.
Yeah.
With way much
better looking board as well.
Yeah, with way much cooler models. But the point is it's not. So we've got so far that they're putting off people who are uninformed, and it takes a lot to stay informed on this game. They're putting off people who want diversity and variety. In loads of different ways, but that's a different conversation. Like, so that's a really important thing. I think that's a bad reason. Can you think of a good reason? Because I can think of a good reason why you would want one army to dominate all the time.
You own the army?
Yeah, well, you buy the army. Like, for instance, let's say you just this weekend picked up a bunch of models intending to play Iron Hands because you're like, oh, they're clearly very good, and I want to use them at a tournament, for an example. Yeah, whether or not it's short-sighted because of an FAQ doesn't matter. That's currently the like, for instance, when you picked up a Castellan when the Castellans were good, yeah, or when they were dominating tournaments, specifically ITC, yeah, you would buy one. Let's say you bought one and it was like a 9-month period. Let's say you bought one 2 months in. You had 5 months, 7 months of that being decent. That's a pretty good return on investment. Go to tournaments every weekend, smash face. That's really good. Let's say you bought it at 6 months and then you only had 3 months of dominating. and then also 8 months and you only had a month left to dominate in. You're like, oh, I've just wasted £100 or whatever it is. Yeah, because my purpose for buying, is to do well at an event. Yeah, and these things are good. Yeah, Gulliman was good for a time. Yeah, still good, arguably. Yeah, so a good reason to have one army that's really, really strong, is so that people can just spend their money wisely on the really strong thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't leave any much consumer advice information out there.
You don't
don't you think equally that would drive people away from the game?
I do, and I think every time we've ever reviewed a show, that's why I think people who are described as salty or critical, as sometimes we can be accused of being, are thrown under the bus because the boring gamescape is uninteresting. I remember being told about Warhammer Fantasy Battle in 7th edition. It was Dark Elves versus Demons. And all the people who played Warhammer Fantasy Battle were like, oh man, 7th edition was just Dark Elves versus Demons. You either brought one or the other. And I was like, okay, so did you keep playing? They were like, yeah. I was like, fuck, you must be so boring as a person. Like how is that? Like, you're like, I'm going to go and do the same thing every weekend until it gets changed. When is it getting changed? We don't know. Like, there's no patch dates. Like, we know that there's a new chapter approved. We know that there's going to be an the kind of big cycle FAQs. Whether or not they're insane or not insane, we know that there are changes on the horizon, right? So it's a really interesting conversation. Like Games Workshop quite clearly make inconsistent rule sets which are overpowered or underpowered. And that goes down from books all the way down to units. The question is, because I thought it was a great question, do we think that's bad? And I just wanted a summary. Can you think of any more reasons that you would think that you would want a unit, an army, to be good all the time? Tom?
I mean, I feel like I'm one of the guys that you probably don't want to be quoting on this one, having played Eldar for the last 3 or 4 years as a one trick. So
no, I think
I'm kind of on the other side of the fence where I'm just enjoying my abusive, horrendous army.
No, I think that's actually an incredibly solid point. Like what's it felt like having a book that's so strong that's required? It's not that I don't think it requires skill, because I really do think it does, but that has so many tools and is so much better than, or it has units that are so much better than other units. Yeah. Like, what does it make you think when you see something that's
all right? So here's the thing that I enjoy about playing Eldar. So I don't really know. So I'm just going to go with what I've missed out a bunch of that. So I'm just going to go with what I enjoy playing about playing Eldar. It means that I can kind of limit my model pool, because I know that if I just grab a certain number of units, I can always just take some out and then plug and play, right? So it's like if I own both Tank Busters and Looters for Orcs, for example, I can just say, well, this meta favors putting Tank Busters in. I take out the Looters, I put in Tank Busters. Similar with Eldar, right? So I've taken Shining Spears out of whatever Eldar list I've been playing for a while, and I just put in like some more scatter bikes or something, because if I just buy a bunch of bikes, I can just do whatever I want, and I can run different kinds of lists, and that's interesting because I'm always running different kinds of units and rules, and I'm enjoying that. So it kind of gives you that flexibility whilst also giving you a consistent base. So you have enough room where you're stable and you're just doing the same thing to a degree, but you also have enough room to experiment and really enjoy different things about your book.
But what's it like when you come up against a book or an army that is just so much more underpowered in comparison?
Oh, well, because what ends up happening when you hit one of those armies is you can generally tell what you're going to be hitting immediately, and you already have a plan. So when you, let's say, good example, round 1 of Blood and Glory last year, and I played Sean Gill, and Sean was playing Marines, and I didn't even really look at his list. I just saw he's playing Marines. I know what the Marine list is going to look like, and I know how to deal with it. So I didn't really have to employ any critical thinking whatsoever, because I'd already pre-planned how to deal with Marines, because it's all exactly the same, right?
That's all right. You give me the quote I need.
Not necessarily strong or deep.
Keep going, Tom. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, like when a book is so like shallow and so, I don't really want to use the words underpowered or weak, but it's very much, there are a few units in it that you can use competitively, and everything else is just straight garbage, right? It's just similar to the point you're making, where you had to Google to see if you're any good. So you know you're going to be hitting those units, so you know how the list's going to run before you even look at it. because you know there are only a certain number of good units, and if you rock up and it's not like the list you were expecting, but good choice, it's crap. So you just shoot it off the table and you don't have to worry about it. Because when you have such a shallow list, shallow book, you end up hitting the same list over and over again. You already know how to deal with it.
Well, I'd like to touch on Nick now, because Nick,
I've just said the same thing like 3 times. But...
It's okay. I know I heard you, because you're on the other end of that conversation, right? So you're the guy with the Necron army, yeah, like who, when the book came out, was just pretty shit.
I had hopes. For
sorry
it,
for Nick
yeah,
and his chaos.
Great.
Yeah, like, but you were on the other end of that conversation. You got a book, and you're like looking at like Craftworld Eldar as an example, or Yunari at that time, and you're just like, this isn't even close to the same.
Yeah, like all the other books came out at a certain power level, and when yours comes out and it's not on that same power level, it makes me feel sad. And I have basically put my Necron army away into a cabinet, and it stayed there for months on end.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? And I'm sure that wouldn't have made you leave the hobby, but had that been your first army,
yeah, quite. I guess it depends how deep your pockets are. If you really like, if someone was new, if you introduce someone to the hobby, like I said earlier, and they picked up Necrons, and you said, "Oh, don't worry, your codex is coming out," and they get that codex, and they play it for a bit, and then it sucks. That might put them off forever, and then no matter what changes in the future, they'll just be put off by that bad experience. I guess just the thing you're saying about why might it be good that there's a big bad guy?
Yeah.
Some people might feel like Tom. Tom's been like scheming orc lists to beat the big bad guy. Some people love having a big bad guy to try and defeat because they want to be the person who took it down, if you see what I mean. But I don't think it's good for the game as a whole.
Thank you, Alan Joel, for subscribing 5 months. I also don't think it's good for a game, which is why we often talk about it. But I thought it was good to like flesh out that conversation. And I know some of those seem very obvious, and they're pretty key. But what's really interesting, that you would almost assume that would be Games Workshop would see that those are the bad things as well. They're the things that negatively affect them and sales, but they don't understand that. And why are we so obsessed with their sales? Well, because I think we've had to be, because like so much of their like output as a game company is so anarchic, especially when you compare it to other game companies and how they produce their rule sets, how they plan things. Like I, as an example, was reading a League of Legends patch note yesterday about they've got 4 new champs in the works.
What are you doing that for?
Well, not the patch notes, but specifically their kind of like product release. They were
the 10-year thing, with the card game and the shooter and the all that stuff.
And then they were basically saying, we've got 4 new champs in the work. Like we're redesigning Volibear, we're redesigning Fiddlesticks. We actually tried this
games.
Yeah, we tried this thing. Yeah, we tried this thing with Volibear, but actually we don't actually like how it worked, and we've had some feedback on it, and it's not quite what we wanted. So we're going back to the R&D stage, and it was just really interesting. And I was like, oh,
transparent and honest.
Yeah, well, but also like in whether or not it's honest. Like what it's doing is it's letting you know the roadmap for where things are going, and it's like, these are our plans. This is what we're doing. But the issue with I think it's great that they've addressed things with the FAQ for Iron Hands now. But as a consumer base, we now are left in this kind of like, okay, so Sisters of Battle are coming out. What if they come out and they're amazing? Do I wait 4 weeks before before I see if they're actually amazing? Like 4 weeks is a long time in the competitive world. And 4 weeks is not the easiest amount of time to get an army built on the tabletop. So, you aim for, well, this particular unit is good, I'm going to paint up these first. Comes out 4 weeks later, and it's bad.
Well, I think Games Workshop's sales strategy seems to be, because they hype up their stuff they try to hype up their stuff a lot with like teasers and previews, and they go, oh, this new thing's coming out, here's a little teaser, and then it eventually comes out. And I think a lot of their sales, I'm guessing, come from people going, oh my god, I'm really excited about the thing now on day release, pre-order that, and like buy loads of stuff. And then in 2 or 3 weeks when the FAQ comes out, all the stuff that they bought and were excited about is not like what they were expecting or what they bought. I think Games Workshop should be careful if they just keep doing that trend, because eventually it's going to piss people off.
I think so as well.
Like, I bought some stuff recently
I think Nikos is going to respond.
It was FAQ'd and changed. And like, I've dropped like however much money on some units that aren't as good as they were when I bought them. But obviously, I'm so invested in this hobby. I'm not going to like quit just over that. But like new people coming into the hobby will potentially be put off by that kind of shit.
Yeah, I think so as well. But I also think what it does is it throws our hands into a bunch of different places. Like I think we're more tentative about our purchasing as well because it's not as safe. And I think that's a negative for them. And I think what they rely on is that exact phrase that you said, like, oh, I'm into this hobby, I'm not going to stop. And you've lived with them their whole life, right? We're not asking them, we're not saying that they're bad, which they kind of are sometimes. We're just asking them to do better, which this FAQ is a really great example of, and I applaud them for doing so. But it means like all of the data cards, well, not all of the data cards, a bunch of the data cards are out of date. Like, and you just
Printed books,
they're out of date now. That's like a 2-week-old thing. Like you know,
Crimson Fists.
Crimson Fists. What about them?
I mean, you remember they had that White Dwarf supplement, or the Raven Guard one even?
yeah,
Those things are now out of date because of Marine Book.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think everyone.
I don't think you can even use them, right?
I hope the community as a whole bands together when the new, like the Salamanders and all the new supplements come out. I hope everyone just doesn't buy them straight away, just to like almost as like a consumer reaction
Salamanders
to
could
all
be
this
filth.
BS. Yeah, and if they are filth, like Iron Hands were, they're going to be changed and FAQ'd and tempered down a bit. So everyone should just not buy the data cards, not buy the printed book, not buy anything until their FAQ comes out. Because then you know what power level it is, and if you really want to invest your money in that, rather than just gambling and then, oh, maybe I'll dodge the nerf bat.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point. And Datcom, thank you for subscribing for 21 months, and apologies about the lag. Valu says, well, we want more updates. The problem is Warhammer is not League of Legends. LoL is free to play, and you don't invest much to play. Warhammer is super expensive, and that is actually a really key point. Like when you play League of Legends, as an example, or Dota or Fortnite or any of those free to play games, it's free to play.
And if a champion gets nerfed, what have you lost?
Like no, well that's it. But also, if you're not buying a free to play game, if you're paying like a 50 quid for a game, if one build isn't good in that game, I still own the game to go play the next build. If I have a £150 model or an £80 model and it goes from good to bad with one printed release, yeah, like as in playable to unplayable,
Or like 2,000-3,000 points of Necrons, and it goes from playable to or never playable
to still unplayable. Yeah, you're in this position where it's like, wow, there's like the game company that should have more duty of care should be Games Workshop, way more than League of Legends, like way more than all the others. Like, and if they understood that, and this is the rallying cry, because it's not meant to be an attack, it's meant to be the rallying cry. If they understood that, then they would make loads more money, and it would be a more attractive game for people to play. That's not saying that people aren't playing it. That's not to say it's more popular now than it ever has. But let's put it this way. We as a community told them to talk to us and interact. And then 4 years ago they did that, and they went from a £100 million company to a £400 million company. Yeah? What did they change? Literally fucking nothing. They just started doing social media and talking to their community. All of a sudden, they're making 4 times the money where they once were. So here's the next step, Games Workshop. Yeah, care more about your game and the environment your gamers are in, and guess what? You're going to make more fucking money.
Yeah.
Like, it's really easy. Like, just take that bit of advice and run with it.
Just like to be talked to in this community. Yeah.
No, but I think
Really thought that everyone here was a bit lonely.
No, but I don't think that people just want to be talked to though, because like no one wants to be mugged off either. No one wants to like see the Iron Hand thing and go, mate, this is broken, and then
I get you.
No, it's not.
No, totally.
And then an amazing man called Peter like does all of it's statistically fucked, and they're like, do you know what? Like, I honestly think they only changed their mind because Reese said on the podcast that they might pull it from ITC, which, considering that they're playtesters, in my opinion, was I would say that was a ball. That was a dick on the table moment, in my opinion.
Well,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I would be surprised if the playtesters hadn't mentioned it.
Or agreed,
I would be really surprised
agreed. But then what Games Workshop haven't done is listened. Key point, right, Tom?
Yeah.
Mentioned it. They put the book to print. They put it out, and it's done. right? So
Right, well, we played the narrative game at our lunchtime, and it was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine.
So then one of the chief playtesters and the head of ITC...
What do you mean? Playing with my normal dread and my drop pods with Iron Hands. It was great.
Yeah. So then the head of ITC goes, we're going to take it out of the game. And then Games Workshop are like, fuck.
Imagine getting to a point where you're going to take Space Marines out of 40k.
Yeah. But imagine that because they said that. Imagine that was a threat,
I know.
right? And then Games Workshop capitulated. So understand that, like, we might have them by the balls. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty exciting.
Got him. We got him,
we
guys.
got him by the
We got him.
kudos. I thought that was I think that's really interesting, and people should take more note of that. I don't know. Anyway, we've talked.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
I think what's really important is we didn't just go blah 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 Iron Hands. Like, I think that was an interesting talk, or do we all disagree?
Yeah, we weren't just bitching and moaning.
Yeah, we weren't. I think it was constructive, right? Good. All right, fuck yeah. Tom, anything more to say about Iron Hands before we proceed on? Salamanders obviously also being released. They get +1 to wound with flamers and melters is what we've seen on the update today.
And there's also a leak where there's a stratagem where you can get automatic full, like a random D6. You get 6.
Yeah,
just
with the entire unit.
Just to close out, this is still basically the news section, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to quickly close off for 30 seconds by just mentioning there's also been a Raven Guard FAQ, which basically changes one of the Warlord traits to make it so that you can only use it on infantry to redeploy a unit. They've added a couple of little FAQs in there. They've also updated the Tau FAQ 3 days ago, and I think the thing they've added, but I can't be certain, is they've changed the Riptide Battlesuit Nova reactor. So what people used to be doing was they'd use the charge thing, so you could move 2d6 inches in the charge phase and then charge. They've changed it now so that you can't charge if you do that. So it's not like you can just yeet a Riptide across the board and just charge something just to lock it down anymore. So that's also been released. You can take a flick through of that. That's also on the GW Warhammer Community FAQ page as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it for news, I think.
Not bad. Not bad news. Not bad news. It's been a pretty exciting week. Obviously, also the release of the Phoenix Rising box. So, Tom, are you going to be talking about Eldar next week?
Indeed.
Could I have the week off?
Yeah, I want to go massively in depth into the Eldar next week if we can.
That is all we will do next week.
You can have the week off, Rob. It's fine.
Yeah,
I'll just I'll mono talk into a camera for about 5 hours about the Young Khan and how good it is.
Sold. Next Thursday, ladies and gentlemen, me and Nick won't be here. We'll be burning copies of the Phoenix Rising wherever we can find it.
Yeah, we're lurking outside Games Workshop, mugging anyone who seems to have bought.
Should have accepted the.
It's not hard to mug Eldar players. They're so thin and weak.
I'll have you know I've been lifting tables. I'll have you know I've been lifting tables at work, so I'm swell now. Screw you.
Big lower back.
So just talking about the leaks that we've seen from for the Salamanders, Flamestorm aggressors actually get 2d6 attacks per model. Thank you, Touchmaster Varrock. So with Flamecraft, a unit of 6 would get 72 attacks automatically hitting.
Oh
so
my God.
72 hits, which is crazy. With their they've said that their battle trait is +1 to wound. So even a knight, they're going to be wounding on 5s.
That's huge.
Jesus.
Yep.
That is huge.
It's not bad, is it, really?
Are they just normal flamers, like Strength 4?
Yeah.
They're not like heavy flamers.
No. But it's still, it's 72 attacks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just, it's just amazing. So there we go. I don't know what anyone else how's everyone else feel about that? Everyone feel good?
Will it depose the Iron Hands? I don't know.
I'll reserve judgment until the FAQ comes out.
Yeah, same.
Hey. There it is. Nice one.
And then that's a good point, Alandro. I agree with that as well. Like the issue with aggressors is always going to be
Getting them there.
Like
Stick it. Oh, they can't go in the Skyno, can they?
no, they can't go in the sky now.
Oh, you've got just the repulsor.
But I tell you what can do. Centurions.
Centurions can.
Well, they can go in the Skyno.
They can.
Really?
Yeah.
They can go and be Storm Raven.
Yes. Well, we'll see if there are ways to.
Yeah, you can fly over with your Leviathan Dreadnought and your Centurions.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll have +1 to wound and -1 AP after turn 1. So 72 hits.
Hello?
72 hits that are -1. It's going to be pretty gross. So
It'd be lovely, is what it is.
Yeah, Salamander's one of my favourite chapters, so I actually hope that they're also broke on delivery. I like it. I would like it if every book
I'm a
is
long
now
time
broke on
Salamanders
delivery.
player as well.
Huh?
Yeah. I'm a long time Salamanders player.
You
as
are
well.
a long time Salamanders player. That should be your shtick. You should, as a long time.
I've come up with a new chapter name for my Marines.
Oh yeah.
They're Ultra Ironmanders. Guard Scars Fists.
Poor
Angels.
Imperial Fists got screwed by you.
Oh.
Scarred Fists.
But then also you can drop pod. Thank you, Valerie. You can drop pod them, right?
What aggressors?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Primaris haven't had the health and safety.
They've not had the briefing.
They've not had
Can't-
the e-learning to go in a drop pod yet.
God.
You can't strap them into a drop pod. We've got too much in terms of backpack.
This is why those poor kids who are new to the hobby are like, what? They're literally like playing fucking some sort of, like one of the 40k games on their PC, and they're like, sweet, I'm gonna go to that Warhammer store. And then they'll be like, yeah, I've seen the drop pods. I'm gonna get these flamer dudes, this drop pod. That's gonna go nuts. Yeah, and then they go, no, they can't do that. They're like, why? What? Why?
Rob, imagine
Why?
all the poor kids that have played Warhammer Total War and been walking up against workshop store looking for the models.
Yeah, Tomb Kings, please. Shit.
They were all dead.
Jonathan Etland, who's in the chat, I just want to say big love. Can we all, Jonathan Etland, one of our Age of Sigmar show hosts, we've all missed. He's been away playing World of Warcraft, but ever since that they decided to be evil
Has he
pieces of
cancelled his
shit.
Blizzard?
Yeah, he's cancelled it and is now
Good
back
choice.
in the realm of Warhammer, less evil pieces of
Awesome.
shit. Just want to say big love to him. So if you could just say hi to him in the chat, that'd be great. Just tell him I've missed him. I've missed him.
Yeah, tell him to come back on the Monday show.
Yeah, I've missed him calling people shit guts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we all have.
We all have. We all have. All right, so let's do some rundown, shall we?
Aye.
Nick, do you want to do a
Oh, yeah,
rundown,
yeah.
or would you like me to do a rundown first?
Have you got dice?
I've got
I can flip a coin. I've got my wallet here.
I've got a dice. I can get a dice. Do you
Hold
want
up,
to
I'll
get a
flip a
dice?
coin.
Yeah, let's decide who goes first with a dice roll,
You have to keep entertaining the crowd.
as is tradition. Tom, what is your ETC list?
Every fucking time.
I don't know. It's not for another 10 months.
10 months. All right. Oh, loads of dice.
Just assume.
It's
We'll
Gene
just
Circle
assume
dice.
I'm playing Tau.
Okay, so 4+. Rob goes first. It's a 4. It's a 6.
Oh, good.
Oh,
It's
me.
a 6. Rob goes first.
Okay.
Oh no, that's a 1.
The
symbol's on the
symbol's
one.
on the one. It's old school.
What a ridiculous dice.
Am I allowed to do it first anyway because it was my birthday yesterday?
Okay, yeah, you can go first.
Fucking alright.
Abusing your birthday.
So I am going to do a rundown on Wulfen. Mm-hmm. If anyone would like to ask me why. Oh, hold on. Let me stop recording and then start recording again. Okay. So, hello, welcome to the Tour Gamer. I'm your host, Rob. Thank you to everyone on Patreon and Twitch. And thanks for listening to the podcast. And I'm joined by Nick and Tom.
Hello.
Now I'm going to do a rundown on Wulfen. And the reason I'm going to do a rundown on Wulfen is because they're just cool.
You into bestiality?
Yes, I'll accept that. Also, it's Halloween.
He is a furry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also a furry. It's also Halloween, and I thought it would be cool to talk about them because werewolves and shit, because I'm hashtag Team Jacob. And if no one gets that, that's a Twilight reference. And if you haven't watched it, why haven't you watched the teen sensation of 10 years ago? Why haven't you?
I'm
at this
not,
stage?
I'm not
have
a
a dick.
16-year-old girl.
It's just not relevant. Like, there's so many themes that you've got to understand about. Yeah, no, Nick, understand the themes.
The theme.
There are themes.
Themes.
Yeah, themes.
The themes of what?
There
Game
are
of Thrones
themes.
season
She's
8 also
sad.
had themes, but
Yeah, she's sad. He's a wolf, but then he's a vampire. So what she's going like? Do I go for the dangerous mystery, or do I go for the safe, strong wolf? And there are more other themes as well. There's basically all the themes, and there are no more themes. But,
themes. Brilliant.
happy not birthday, Nikos, Tom, and Rob. Now 365 days left until birthday, Rob. All right.
Yay.
Yeah. Thanks, dude, all day. So yeah, themes. So I've decided to go for Wulfen. The story of Wulfen. So as always, a good rundown. We'll always start with a narrative. And did you know when the Emperor landed on Fenris and found his son? Yeah. Who is called
Lehman.
Lehman Russ. when he found Lehman Russ had already conquered the planet and had a great hall and lodge. And inside that was some of his mightiest and noblest warriors. Yeah, he'd said, but then the Emperor was like, "Oh, you guys are all too well old to become Space Marines," and they were like, "Whatever, man. I'm not even that old. Like, I'm like pretty like virile." And they were like, "No, you're too way old."
I have sired 7 sons.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, give me some more of that. He's like, "You're too old." They're like, "No, I have drunk many meads and slept with bountiful women." And so Russ, not wanting to make his friends feel sad, was like, "No worries. Yeah, you guys can drink from the Wulfen cup." Ooh. Yeah. Now the Wulfen cup is what the Space Wolves drink from. They drinketh from. They drinketh from the Wulfen cup, and that activates their gene seeds and starts them on the road to becoming a Stormcast Eternal. No, sorry.
So the Emperor just carries around this weird cup that turns people into wolves.
No, Lehman Russ did. Because they've all got different things. Blood Angels have got a chalice. Iron Hands have got, actually they use a Wii U.
Okay.
Most people don't know that.
A repulsor?
Yeah, the Ultramarines actually just paint a wall white and then make you stare at it until your gene seeds activate in the most boring way possible. Yeah, that's just that's their system.
I thought it was painting the white lines in a car park. That was how they did it.
Linus Rard, thank you for joining us, by the way.
Ooh, Linus.
Yeah, Linus.
Champion of the League of Knights 1.
Yeah, big champion, big fan. Anyway, so the cup of the Wulfen is what they drink from in the gene seeds. Anyway, but this initial group of guys, he gave the cup of the Wulfen to, and loads of them died, but some of them survived. I think it was 40 of them, and they became the 13th Company. 13th Company having the most Wulfen in it.
If you were in that queue, so there's 100 old Vikings in the queue,
Yeah.
and like the dudes in front of you like drinking from this weird cup, and then most of them are dying, would you stay in the queue?
Imagine making a queue of Vikings.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, imagine that. The queue. Only queue, please.
It's like a drape.
Your name's not on the list.
There's a drape behind.
Also, imagine being the bouncer.
No one just.
Imagine being the bouncer at the Viking club.
It'd be a hard job.
That would be. Yeah, it's not easy.
Tough gig.
Anyway, so the Cup of the Wulfen, but second in command of under Lehman Russ was a guy named, wait for it, Wulfen.
Wulfen.
Yeah, Wulfen, and he was the first to drink from the cup. Yeah. When he did, though, it turns out that in his heart, he'd already harboured bad thoughts about Lehman Russ, planned to become super strong and then defeat Lehman Russ.
Oh, really?
Yeah. However, because of the anger in his heart, he became a Wulfen, and then Lehman Russ smashed his head in. Maybe they'd been friends for years, but all of a sudden he just smashed his head in. So a bit of a dark story. Interestingly, also, the follow-up to that story is everyone else drank the cup, and none of them bore any ill will. They were like, this is an opportunity for you all to leave now. And then everyone was like, no, we're good guys. So the one bad guy drank first. Yeah, a likely story. Anyway, but Wulfen...
I don't know why everyone else drank from that cup.
Huh?
Like, from what you described, is like the first person who drank from it turned into a Wulfen and Lehman Russ immediately smashes his head in.
Yeah.
And then other people drank from it and died. I don't know if I did.
I don't know if you do it. But what about the bountiful beauties you laid with? He did drink from the fairy cup. So, thanks, Grimmo. Anyway, that actually has got very little to do with why they become Wulfen. There's something basically inside the gene seed of Lehman Russ that they have to control, and then if you don't control it, you could become an evil Wulfen. But basically, they don't kill the Wulfen anymore. And sometimes they're in the 13th Company, sometimes they're not. There's even a famous company of Wulfen, and even a Wolf Lord, High Moon Tyranid, even a Wolf Lord who is also a Wulfen. But they're the outcasts of the society. And
they're like the lepers.
Yeah, basically.
Is there an island where they all live?
No, but they still fight and they come along for all the party. But that is the tale of the Wulfen. How do you feel about the narrative?
There's some holes in it. There's some holes in it.
There are many holes in it. There are many holes in it. But
it's a 2010 book. You need to settle down. It's going to have holes in it.
yeah. But so that's cool. So they get super angry and they become wolves, but they're not kicked out of being space wolves. They're just like, It's like when you get really drunk. And then, like, the next day you message all your mates. And they message you back, but they're not like, all right, legend. They're like, hi, Steve.
All right, Dave.
Yeah, all right, Dave.
I'm okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Should we go to the pub later?
Yeah. So have you guys seen the model, talking about the Moodles, have you guys seen the models? And what do you think of the models?
I like some of the models, but some of the models are a bit weird. Particularly the Trinity pose one.
That's right.
A bit
Tom,
odd.
have you seen the models, and what do you think? Uh-oh. Tom's away from the microphone.
Tom got into the warp. I was away from the microphone.
Yeah, I can see his little face. Tom?
I'm away. Hey, guys, do you know why I was away from the microphone?
Why would it be?
Yeah, hi. Look what I've got. Are you ready?
I can't wait. Oh, he's got some Wulfen models.
Got...
A little bit to your left. There you go.
They look awful.
What, the actual... What, because of your painting? Or because...
No. It's because
Tom's
of the
an
painting.
award-winning hobbyist.
Dude, hey, thanks for donating 100 bits. Took Rob 3 years to pronounce your screen name party time to Moon Terminators.
Painting classes.
Yeah. So do you like the models or not? Oh, internet is so
He's
bad.
thinking.
Tom, do you like the models or not?
I like them when they're not painted by me at 1 o'clock in the morning before an event.
I think that's fair.
Yes.
I think the models... Yeah, we can. I think the
I
models...
do like them when they're not painted by me at 1 a.m. at the morning before the event.
Yeah, that's fair. Nick, you're a pretty consummate hobbyist. Would you like them? To paint them, like they've got skin tones, they've got armor plates, they've got hair, they've got like everything a hobbyist could need to fulfill to tick their boxes.
I don't know. I don't always like loads of detail in a model.
And there is loads of detail.
Yeah,
on
there's
these
loads
models.
of detail, quite a lot of different stuff like armor panels, flesh,
they're really cool
fur,
models.
a lot of different things.
Okay. Well, I'm a big fan.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
even
think
the Trinity pose one.
Huh? Yeah. I think they're all pretty. They're pretty decent. Like they do look a bit goofy. And now with Primaris out, you're like, oh, that's a bit weird. I'm not 100% sold on that, but generally.
Oh yeah, they're going to make Primaris Wolf.
Space Wolves.
Pardon me, Tom.
They're Space Wolves, man. They're meant to be goofy.
They are meant to be goofy. And Moon Tyranny says, I find them a bit much, but Primaris Wulfen would be really cool. Okay, so models, what do you give them out of 7?
I'm going to go for a 4.
6.
Oh, nice. I would also give them a 6. I don't think they're the best models ever, but they're not too bad. Okay, Twitch chat, what do you guys think of them as models? I'd be interested. Podcast listeners at home, just hold up some fingers in the air. Just be like, this number. I mean, no one will ever know what you decided to...
Just the next person you see,
just
them
tell
the
them.
number.
Yeah, just be like...
And then give them no
cool
context.
Yeah, and no context. Or just message your friends right now. Yeah, WhatsApp them or Facebook them. Just like, I reckon Wulfen like a 5 out of 7. And they'll be like, why have you messaged me this?
Message your non-Warhammer mates as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Message you, Dan.
Yeah. And Wolf Priest Carl says, just take the arms and heads off Primaris minis. That's a good shout. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. Moon Tyranny says 6 out of 10. Chaos Space Marines. Says Scrivo, shut up, they're not Chaos Space Marines.
They're basically Chaos Spawns.
They're not Chaos Spawns. I don't think you understand how this works. Yeah. Jonathan Hetland says 9, too much clothes. Not 100% certain he said stands to 5 out of 7. Wolf Priest Carl says 5 howls. 5 howls. All right, do you want me to talk about the rules now?
Many howls.
Please.
Okay, so Wulfen, they start out in units of 5, right? Mm-hmm. So they move 7 inches, which is an inch faster than most Space Marines.
Yeah.
They have weapon skill 3, but their ballistic skill is 5. We don't care about that. And they are, though, and this is really important, strength 5.
Yeah, 5.
Yeah. They've got toughness 4, 2 wounds each. 2 wounds wounds each, and they've got a 4 base save. They've got some special abilities, which is Bounding Lope. Models in this unit can advance and charge in the same turn. So movement 7 plus. So they're pretty fast, which I think is good. Then they've got the Curse of the Wulfen. You can reroll failed charge rolls for this for friendly Space Wolves infantry bike and cover units that was in 6 inches this unit at the start of the charge phase. And then its ability is doubled to 12 for friendly Blood Claw units. So that's fine. But which means they inherently have reroll charges. So run and charge, reroll charges, fast as anything. And then you've got the Curse of the Wulfen, which is you can make 1 additional attack for models in Space Wolves infantry, bike, and cover units that are within 6 inches of any friendly unit with this ability. When they make their attacks in the fight phase, the range of this ability is doubled to 12 inches. Blood Claw units. Units of Wulfen are not affected by this ability, nor are units that made a charge while within range of the Curse of the Wulfen hunt ability. So that's fine. No one's stressed about that. And they've got Death Frenzy. Roll a d6 each time this model loses a wound. On a 5+, it's ignored. So it's a DPR of a 5+.
Nice.
So exactly like you see with Death Company, which I think is particularly phenomenal. So that's their like base stats, and then you can equip them with a bunch of different weapon options. But you can give them Frost Claws, you can give them a Great Frost Axe. The Wulfen Pack Leader always has to have Frost Claws. No options there. Has to have Frost Claws.
Are they just like Lightning Claws?
Yeah, basically. Yep. But for me, the loadout that I would take, I'm not going to go through all the options because I decided against it. I'm just going Thunderhammer and Storm Shield. And I know that that's what people take anyway. I know. I just wanted to talk about it because I think it's pretty radical. Because I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about the Iron Hands, and I was thinking, why don't I just try to be really lucky? Just run across the board, yeah? I just make 3-up invulnerable saves and 5-up DPRs. Who's to stop me?
In the head.
Yeah, and then when I get there, because I didn't talk about that.
Well, you can put them in transport, can't you?
Yeah, I could.
But put him in the Space Wolf Flyer, mate.
You could also, but I don't want to. I just want more Wulfen. I want a pack.
A pack.
I want a pack, right? Because they have 3 attacks each, 4 for the Wulfen Pack Leader, but obviously because of the new Space Marine update, 4 attacks on the charge.
Oh yeah, shocking assault.
Shocking assault. And they hit on 3s, obviously, but because of the Space Wolf battle trait, which is called, let me double check, Hunters Unleashed, they get +1 to hit. Now, the Thunderhammers are obviously -1 to hit, so they still be hitting on 3s, but it balances out, so +1 attack. So 4 attacks each with a Thunderhammer at strength 5, hitting on 3s, you will have a Wolf Priest, not Wolf Priest, sorry, you'll have someone that gives them reroll 1s to say to hit nearby.
Because it is 8th edition 40k.
Because it's 8th edition 40k. But, really importantly, you'll also have someone that's giving them reroll 1s to wound nearby. And that's really important because they're going to be wounding basically everything on, at worst, 3s, but most things on 2s.
Yeah.
Rerolling 1s, and again, straight -3, damage 3. They're just going to be punching through stuff all day. They're pretty radical. And I think that they're a sweet-ass unit.
They are cool, aren't they?
They're very cool.
You can also outflank the buggers as well.
Thank you so much. Let me tell you about some of the cool ways that you could use them in the game. Honor the Chapter, 3CP. Activate at the end of the fight phase.
I'm sorry, I've ruined it.
Yeah, lets the unit fight a second time. Yeah. Now imagine that on a big unit of Wulfen fighting twice.
What's the max size? 10?
10. Yeah. That would be radical. Yeah. And that's a lot of Thunderhammer attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're talking about, again, we're talking about space fantasy. This is the thing sometimes, like the Repulsorless Iron Hands, the Castellan that's a cool big knight just doing some shit. Like, I want armoured werewolves with a hammer and a shield beating a tank to death.
This is why I love Khorne Berserker so much, because it's a similar sort of thing. You're just running across the board with crazy, psychotic, evil Space Marines that are going to hit people with axes. It's cool as fuck.
Thank you. Like, because sometimes when we focus on doing like competitive rundowns or on metal rundowns, you just think, all right, like, but and these are okay, by the way. Space Wolves, one of the most performing factions in ITC. I saw the stats on those yesterday. Pretty lame.
True.
Yeah, pretty lame. Yeah. Does this mean that this is a good army to play? No, it does not. But do you know what I don't want to do in 40k anymore, Nick? Care. Yeah. What I want to do.
Or win.
Win.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I absolutely want to win.
Care about wanting to win.
Yes, that's really key.
Care about wanting to win.
Yeah, what I want to do is is exactly what you said. Iron Hands are bad guys. Fine. Salamanders are bad guys. Fine. Do you know what? Fuck you. Yeah, I'm going to have these guys. And let me tell you, I'm not even finished with ways I can make them even more powerful. You're going to regret the day
But they already sound so OP, Rob.
Well, you're going to regret the day you ever said that I couldn't beat you with these, because I am going to play you 100 times. And if you lose one time, fuck you. Yeah. Cunning the Wolf is 1 CP.
Okay.
You activate it during deployment. You select an infantry unit to be on the hunt. At the end of the second movement phase, you may have that unit arrive less than 6 inches from any battlefield edge, 9 inches away from the enemy unit. You can have them arrive on the first movement phase if you choose your deployment zone, but you probably wouldn't do that. Yeah. But you can deep strike them. So now you can pew me all day, motherfucker. Turn 2, this is my bloodletter bomb.
Catch me in the middle of the board, though.
Yeah. No, don't catch me if you can. Yeah. And you're going to have some. Do you know what Space Marines don't have? Good board control. They do with the Phobos stuff and
Scouts.
And the Scouts.
They do with, well,
they actually have really great board control. They have really great board control. But after turn 1, if I play them like you run your bloodletter bomb and I kill all of the Scouts, then I leave myself an opening. And do you know what those repulsors stood in a line want? They don't want fucking 10 hard bastard wolves with hammers beating the fucking toss out of them. I'm swearing a lot because I'm really excited. Yeah, and also I think that's what a Space Wolf would do. Yeah, and also drink and use a hammer. Anyway, I've got some more stuff to tell you about. You can do some psychic powers to make them stronger. You can do Tempest Wrath at 24 inches. Subtract all -1 to hit from all hits, shooting or melee, which I think would be really interesting. Try and make it so that the dudes can make it over there. And you got Stormcaller. Friendly Space Wolf units within 6 inches of the psychic gain the benefit of cover. Now, 3-up armor save, 3-up invulnerable save, 5-up DPR. Not too bad. So if you put a jump pack on your Psyker, just fucking wang him up the board, yeah, and just have just a fucking wizard basically behind your Space Wolves, who are actual wolves. I don't know why you wouldn't do this, personally. You can also get reroll 1 to wound on things like Wolfguard battle leaders. You can get them on bikes, and they go pretty fast because you need to keep up with these guys. Or you can have them on a Thunderwolf, which is also pretty good as well. But I'd probably take them on a Thunderwolf for narrative. Bike, I think, is better because it's a little bit more efficient on points.
You could model your bike as a wolf.
Yeah, and just say it's a wolf.
Best of both
I did that.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Yeah, so sorry about the internet, by the way, everyone, guys. So, yeah, long story short, that's my rundown. I am going to take max units of Thunderhammer and Storm Shields, and I am going to take a couple of characters to cast psychic powers. Yeah, and I'm going to run up the board, and this is my plan. I'm just going to make 3-up invulnerable saves and 5-up saves, and then I'm going to beat you. Not with skills, with dice rolls.
Pure luck.
Dice
hey Rob.
Table.
Yeah.
Are you also going to take 3 Collector's Assassins so that the only way they can kill you is by just hitting you in the head until you fail? I'll save.
Yeah, let's do that too. Is that a good plan to do that as well?
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want you guys getting smoked off the board, do you? And even if you fail those, you can use a 5-up Feel No Pain.
Done. I'm also going to do that. And then I'm just going to run forward and say, fuck you. Every time. And when there's that little castle. Isn't it? Isn't it a good plan? It's not a smart plan. I recognise.
No,
I recognise it's not.
What we're here to do, though, right?
Yeah, I recognise it's not a smart plan, and I recognise it's not the wisest plan. But I feel it's a very Space Wolf plan.
It is true. It is known.
All you need is some longboats, like those the transport
those
thing,
shoe-looking
the
flyers.
transport thing.
Oh my god! Imagine, could we model one of those as a longboat?
Sure
could
we
you and me
could.
do that together?
Yeah.
So if I get a
We
fly
could do
note.
that with
a
some
fly
KO
note.
things, yeah.
Oh my god, me and Nick are going to
those
make a
key
fly note
airplanes.
that's a Viking longboat. Okay. Wolf Priest Carl says this is the greatest episode ever. I agree. Done. That's it. 3 fly no's.
To detect some bias
Just
there,
like flags.
Yeah.
given his Twitch name.
Valerie says, Rob, how are you going to charge the Eldar planes? I am just going to shout at them and guess.
Yara.
Fuck
Well,
you.
it doesn't matter. You don't need to charge them. They can't kill you.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, what are we going to do? You just pass saves, yeah?
Yeah, all I'm going to do is pass saves. That's all I have to do. And then when I get there, I win the game. Defeat me.
Just stand on the objectives and laugh at
There you
people with your
go.
middle fingers
There
up.
you go. Take the objectives and do that.
I can't wait. Honestly, it's going to be the raddest army. Yeah. Will it win all the time? No. Do I care? No. And that's my rundown. I would like a rating, please, out of 13 wolf companies. Oh, dangerous. Also, it's statistically one of the worst armies in the game. So if I win any games, fuck you. Because it's not about doing well with
Are there
Iron
any
Hands.
Wait a minute. Are there stats of the specific build?
No.
Are there
So it's
stats
probably
of
gonna
30
be
Wulfen?
less.
Right, we need to make some stats then, don't we?
Exactly. So I'd like it out of 13 wolves, please. Give me a review.
I'll go for a 9.
Oh, thanks.
9 for the fun factor.
I'm going to give you 10 wolves out of 13 because that's the number of Wulfen you can take in a squad.
Nice narrative pick.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. That's my rundown. If you've listened to this live, thank you for dealing with the internet. If you haven't and listened to the podcast, you guys are wonderful, and I hope you just have a great big dick energy day. I've really pumped myself
Nice.
up. Like I'm like, ah,
Oh my god.
yeah. And if you are watching on Facebook or YouTube, like just do some likes and whatnots. And
If
everything
you are
else.
watching live, you'll probably be able to see Rob slowly turning into a Wulfen.
My God, I can't wait. It's going to be so radical. I'm going to go price it up right now. I wonder how much it is. Is it expensive? Because you get a box of 5 Wulfen. That can't be that much.
Just make him out of Primaris Marines. That's probably the cheap way to go.
You've pumped your big dick in it.
How?
Just buy like cheap, either like
Can
the
we
plug,
hobby this?
either the plug and play like Reaver models are probably the best for it, and then just get like I don't know some bits. Like some Space
that
Wolf
Pop
heads.
goes the monkey guy.
Yeah, maybe that guy gets some bits like some just hairy arms with claws, or Thunderhammer and Storm Shield arms. Space Wolf them up a bit. Sure, it'd be possible.
Fucking super pumped. Also, Alavia said the word stats in the chat, and I've got like fucking erection. All right, great. So thank you everyone for listening. Thank you especially to everyone on Patreon and everyone who subscribes on Twitch. You guys literally are like the reason we're here. So love you so much. I love you forever.
I'm sure we can make some out of like a lollipop stick.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm sure Tom can.
I'm sure Tom can. He's
Tom
an
can make
award-winning
anything out of
hobbyist.
anything.
Oh, Twitch may have just broken. No, OBS may have just broken.
Uh-oh.
I've got that wheel that you get when
Yeah.
The Wheel of Death.
yeah.
Green stuff.
Still on that chat that we just had a minute ago. Oh, the internet died.
Oh.
Tom, can you hear us?
I think that's a no.
Outro just like collapsed into one kind of like 5 seconds. So I got to hear you do like a Philip DeFranco style, like straight, immediate rap god style exit.